Today I'm going to share a really cool technique with you. I'm calling it the inked double embossing technique because I am using an embossing folder, and I'm also doing heat embossing, and I'm also inking the embossing folder. So this is a technique that I had not planned on doing a video for, but I went to an event with Stampin Up demonstrators this past weekend. We had a blast and we needed to take a card for the display board. So on my way out the door, I just grabbed this card, put it on the display, and I could not believe how many people came up to me asking how did I make this card. So I am excited to share this with all of you today. It's a really fun technique. There's a lot of different ways you can use it. So I think you're going to get a lot of ideas and inspiration with these cards. And at the end, I'm actually going to make another 4 cards with this technique, which I'll speed up that so you can watch that as well. So you ready? Let's start stamping. This is such a fun technique. I have shown this before different ways in other videos. It's been around for a while, but today I'm going to do a few different additional techniques to this. So first thing I'm going to do is cut some adhesive sheet and put it on my cardstock. So I'm just going to trim this down. Actually, before I do that, I have some scrap pieces, not scrap, but these are cut from a project that I was making earlier this week. It's wild wheat, and this measures, let's see, this measures 5 3/4 by 4 1/4. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut my adhesive sheet at 5 3/4 by 4 1/4 and adhere this to my cardstock. Okay, just peel that off and just put it on. You can use any color of cardstock, and I am going to pull in some scraps that I have. Now, I'm sure we all have scrap baskets or something that we store our scraps in. So that's on. I'm going to find my bone folder and just really make sure that adhesive is on there well. And then I'm going to peel this off and start laying down my scrap papers. Okay, now let me show you what I've got going on for scrap paper. I'm going to slide it all over here. I have pulled this out of my scrap basket, and I have all different sizes, all different scraps. You can see I've got leftovers from cards that I've made. Can you guys relate to this? I bet you can. Now, I have been making some of the cards I'm about to share with you, so I already have some extra strips cut down to be 3/4 of an inch in width. So I'll just show you how I've been doing that. So here's some cherry cobbler that was in my scrap basket, and I'm just going to slide this over to 3/4 of an inch and make some strips. Now you can have different sizes of strips. You can have a 3/4 inch of a strip with an inch, whatever you want, but I'm just going to keep these at 3/4 of an inch. There are no rules to this card design, which is so cool. Let's see, here's a pretty little piece. You can see how it's experimenting with a new punch, so I'm just going to trim that up. I'm not worrying about the length at the moment, so cut that down at 3/4 of an inch. This is pretty close to 3/4 of an inch, so I'm going to do that. You want to make sure that your cuts are straight. I would say that that is the most important, because you want your strips to be nice and flush when you adhere them together. Now the fun part is deciding how I'm going to put these onto my card. First things first, put this back into my scrap basket. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back in. Look at all my pretty colors. I'm actually going to start with some Lost Lagoon. Now you can go straight up and down, on a diagonal, whatever you like. I am just going to put one straight across, like that. Then I'm going to put a piece here and just start layering this on. So a lot of you have seen a technique like this before. Again, I've done something similar to this, and I will put the links down below. But again, I'm going to do something a little bit differently this time around. And I'm just trying to make sure everything's tucked up as close as possible. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim these off and put them on the card as well. I'm going to trim off these pieces and then cut this down to measure 4 by 5 1/4. This is what I have. This would be pretty as it is on a background, right, for a card, but this is where we're going to step it up a bit. I am going to bring in my die cutting machine and an embossing folder. For this card, I'm using our new Distressed Tile 3D embossing folder from our mini catalog. And I am actually, before I run that through, I'm going to ink up my embossing folder. So let's bring this in. And I'm going to use Early Espresso. And I'm not going to be too fussed about which side I use, because it's going to look pretty regardless of which side of the folder I use on this. I'm just going to go ahead and use this one, which is the raised bumps. These are the indented. So I'm going to tap over this entire piece. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to put this down, close my embossing folder, and it's crooked. Look at that. I didn't even get it on there straight. Oh my gosh. But see, it's not too bad yet. So let's just do that again. Okay, now we're going to run this through my machine. Let's put this in my machine. Because it's a 3D embossing folder, I'm going to use my gray plate and just run that through. And if you've never inked an embossing folder before and run it through cardstock, you're going to see how beautiful it looks. Hey, look at that. And then you can just rinse this underneath the tap and let it dry. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. So this is what I have. Super cool background. Now, before I move on to the next step, I'm going to bring in a blending brush and my Early Espresso again, and I'm just going to sponge around the edges. Again, you can leave this just as it is, except I want some more ink on this side because I can see there is more on this edge here, so I'm going to add some more. Okay, so just like that, beautiful, great background. Let me bring in an Early Espresso card base. Look at that, and you could add a sentiment and be done with it. But I'm going to kick it up again. I'm bringing in the Color and Contour stamp set because I want to use this splatter image right here. So I'm going to grab a block. So look, I'm just stamping this on willy-nilly. It's my favorite technical term, willy-nilly. And I'm going to bring in some heat and stick powder next. And the reason I'm using heat and stick powder is because I want to use my gold, where did I put it? Right here, my gold gilded leafing. Now, if you don't have this or you don't like it because it is messy, but it's super fun and the results are beautiful, but you can certainly go ahead and do this step with gold embossing powder or silver or copper or whatever color floats your boat. But you do get a different look with this gilded leafing, and I love the gilded leafing, so that's what I'm using. But isn't it fun, you guys, that we have so many options, right? And you can use what you have at home. So if you have the gold embossing powder, go ahead and use it. Now I'm just bringing in a piece of computer paper to catch the bits of gold that are not going to be sticking on this card. And first we need to heat set that. Okay, so I'm going to zap this with my heat tool, because this, if you've never used heat and stick powder, it's like an adhesive, like a glue, and you're going to heat it up and it's going to get sticky and tacky. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. You don't want to do it for too long, because otherwise you're going to lose that stickiness. Now look at this beautiful leafing. Oh my gosh. Now isn't that gold sensational against these colors, you guys? Oh my word. Just beautiful. And you see what I mean? You get a different look using this gold leafing. If you were using the gold embossing powder, which believe me will look beautiful, but you do get a whole different look, because some of that gold leafing is going to go into some of those crevices, and you know, a little bit of a lip there where I've got some adhesive and that gold leafing stuck to that. Like, holy moly, so pretty. All right, so let's pour this back in. Do this when your windows are closed, and if you're somewhere where it's hot and tropical and you've got the fan on, make sure it's off. Otherwise, you're going to end up with this stuff everywhere and on all your pets and everything. Okay, again, you can go ahead and stop here and go ahead and put that on your card, add a sentiment, and it's going to be beautiful. But wait, there's more. I'm going to show you another super fun technique you can do on top of this. And it is just more embossing. So I'm taking my Versamark and I'm going over the entire piece, covering it with my Versamark, and I'm going to cover this entire piece with clear embossing powder. And I may actually do that twice, but I'm going to show you what it looks like with just one coat of embossing powder. I am using an older Versamark ink pad. I should have mentioned that. This is my new one. This is the one that gets babied. And then I have other Versamarks that, you know, they get all crazy. Look, here's another crazy one. So I have 3 or 4 Versamarks. All right, so let's find the clear. Here's the clear. I'm gonna go ahead and cover this entire piece. And you will not believe the difference in the color once you do this step, you guys. The colors on this cardstock are going to become so bright and vibrant, you won't even believe it. Whoops. Okay. I want to make sure you got it all. I think I do. For the most part, I think we're good. All right. So I'm going to get my take your pick tool and use that to hold this in place while I heat it up. Let me show you what that looks like, and you can see what I mean about the colors. They are so bright and vibrant under that embossing powder. Super pretty. And the other cool thing about doing this step is any of that gold leafing that maybe wasn't completely stuck on, well, it's stuck on now with that Versamark and embossing powder. Now I do want to add another coat of the clear embossing powder I want this to almost have that real shiny, thick, glossy, glassy look and feel to it. See that difference, that extra coat of embossing powder put on there? This is absolutely gorgeous, in my opinion. I just love it. I just love this. Okay, so I have put adhesive behind this piece, and I'm just going to put it on my, now do I want it on early espresso? Let me see. I have some card bases that I've got here. I might want a different color. Let's see what it looks like on white. It's pretty, but it's not what I want. Now this is this color, right? And it looks very different. That's pretty. I think I like that. Very, very nice. Okay, I'm going to set that aside and do my sentiment. This is from the Sending Smiles die cuts. Now for my sentiment, I am bringing in Charming Sentiments. I'm going to stamp Wishing You Everything Wonderful, and I'm going to stamp that with Berry Burst. And I'm going to bring my Early Espresso back, and I'm going to sponge the edges just like I did on this background. You can see I'm going off on my scrap paper first. If you've watched me before, is something I like to do so I don't get these harsh squiggle lines. Just a nice soft look. Now, as is the theme with this whole card, you can keep it like that, but I am going to cover it with Versamark and heat it up with clear embossing powder. If I had not done this with my clear embossing, I would just keep this like it is, but I want to stick with that shiny, beautiful, glossy look. I think I might put some ribbon on there, so I'm not going to pop this on right away. I'm going to grab some ribbon here, a couple of pieces of tear and tape across, and put some gold twine on there. So I could have added some embellishments, but honestly, I think with the amount of shine and that gold leafing, the trim, I don't think it needs anything else. I really love how this turned out. So pretty. And then I'll just stamp my sentiment inside when I know what this is for, because this could be an anniversary, this could be a birthday card, this could be a just because I love you day. So I am not going to stamp the inside quite yet, but I'm really pleased with how that turned out. Now, I don't have the original card that I made, that I took to the event with me this past weekend, but I do have photos of it. So I'm going to insert those photos in this video here now so you can see what that looked like. I have gone ahead and created 4 more panels. Why? Because I want to keep stamping with these techniques and experimenting. So I have not done this before with Designer Series paper. So as you can see, I've just taken scrap pieces of Designer Series papers, put them on the panel, and this one is leftover bits and pieces from Memories and More, because I recently used the Memories and More pack for my swaps at this past weekend Stampin' Up event, and I had bits left over, so I thought I'm gonna try that. And then of course just some different colored cardstock. So I'm gonna go ahead, fast forward the camera, the filming, and see how these turn out. I have no idea how they're going to turn out, but I'm going to have a lot of fun playing with them. I can tell you that for free. And I'm going to use some different embossing folders, and I'm just going to play. So hopefully we get lots of fun, different ideas as we go along making these cards today. Here are the cards that I made. You saw the entire process. I just sped it up. So here's the finished card here, where I used the In Color Designer Series paper strips, and I colored in the die cut with my markers and Clear Wink of Stella, and I think that looks really, really, really pretty. This one was just playing around with the gilded leafing, and I think that turned out really cool too. Looks very 70s to me. Little birthday wishes. This one was me just kind of, I don't know. I wasn't really pleased with, as it was coming along, I was like, no, this isn't what I was going for, but I just kept playing with it and playing with it. And I think it turned out pretty cool. It's a quick card. I cut up some of my Memories and More cards for the sentiments and just kept it pretty simple and quick. But you know what? That's a cool card. That's a really cool card. And added some bling. And that'd be a great thank you card after a dinner party or a birthday party or something. If you want to send a thank you to your host, I think that would be really cool. Could even put a little photo on the inside or something. I really like how this one turned out. Also using my Memories and More cards, because that was also the scrap bits that I used were from the Memories and More pack. I'll have the actually, let me just show you. Was using the Bright and Beautiful Memories and More pack on page 135 of our current catalog. So these were scrap bits of that Memory and More pack that I had left over from little birthday packets I had made last week. And then you can see I just cut the stickers out using my deckled circle dies and some fun ribbon. And I think that is a really fun card. Love that embossing folder. That's part of the 3D Basics embossing folders from our online exclusives. And then, of course, the original card. As you can see, tons of possibilities with this technique. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber to my channel. I would love to welcome you into my YouTube community, and please hit the little bell so you're notified when I upload new videos. Thanks, my friend. Take care and happy stamping.